I don't think I've made a single recipe of hers, but this tip is really what made her a legend in my book. Today I'm going to share with you 10 tips that are going to save you time in the kitchen without having to make up all your meals ahead of time. First is shredding cheese in the food processor. Buying shredded cheese from the store is not only expensive, but they actually add a bunch of excess ingredients in there that you don't need. Things like starches or anti-molding agents that just help keep your cheese from clumping together. So it's actually best to just buy a block cheese and shred your own. And the fastest way to do that is with a food processor. It literally takes like 2 seconds to shred this. Let me show you. Then you can store this in a container in the fridge and just pull it out when you need to use it. Prep your veggies ahead of time. I'm such a creature of habit, and we usually have the same vegetables every week for a side dish, like broccoli and asparagus are my go-to side dishes. So a lot of times I'll just cook them ahead of time so that they're already at least like partway done, and I can add them to recipes or just heat them up with a little bit of butter and have that on the side. And I've also been known to omit the onion if it means that I gotta peel it and chop it. So doing this ahead of time just once a week, because I'm always gonna add some onion to my dishes, just really helps save on time and tears. The best way to prep asparagus, I mean, a lot of times people will tell you just snap it and then you discard the woody part, but I don't have time to snap all those like individually, so I just take a knife and just cut right on through where I think the woody edges are. Besides veggies on the side, a salad is an easy option to pair with your main course, plus I like to have it with lunch sometimes. But I don't like to have to make up a salad every time I want to go to eat it. So instead, I like to chop up and prep my salads ahead of time and make one big bulk salad. And then I can use that over the course of several days. So add your lettuce, tomato, diced veggies, but just don't add any dressing. You want to add that right before you eat it. You can keep your dry salad mix in a bag or a container and just place a paper towel in there to soak up any moisture, and it will stay good for several days. Everyone always says that you should clean as you go when cooking, and I'm the worst at following that advice because I don't always have a lot of time to clean up as I'm cooking. There's just not a lot of time. But this Garbageable Tip from Rachel Ray is a simple fix to always having a tidy workspace while you cook, because all of your wrappers and lids and vegetable discards, eggshells are going into this bowl and you're not cluttering up your workspace. And you can work faster too because you're not constantly going to the trash can to discard something. It's genius. I don't think I've made a single recipe of hers, but this tip is really what made her a legend in my book, and it's something I'm going to pass down to my kids too once they learn how to cook more than just scrambled eggs and toast. The next tip really isn't for dinner, it's more for the morning, but it's how I get a deliciously brewed cup of coffee without having to use a coffee machine. Instead, I use these coffee capsules from Cometeer, who's the sponsor of today's video. With this coffee, you can quickly make up the perfect cup of either iced or hot coffee. There's no bitter flavor, there's no sediment, it's smooth, delicious coffee. And I love that I don't have to mess with a machine. The coffee's already brewed and flash frozen, so you're gonna have peak freshness and flavor. They arrive frozen and ship to your door monthly, and you can customize options like decaf, light or dark roast. They even have different new roasts to try every month. Just loosen the frozen capsule until some of the hot water, and then drop the frozen puck into a mug. Then add 6 to 8 ounces of hot water to melt and stir, and voila, you've got delicious coffee. So incredible. For a limited time, you can get $20 off each of your first 2 orders, so a total of $40 off when you use my code KetoFocus at Cometeer.com. If you've really been wanting to try Cometeer, now is your time. Something that has really saved me time in the kitchen is cooking up my proteins ahead of time. This is a concept that I picked up in a book, Cook Once and Eat All Week. It's where you basically cook up all of your proteins and vegetables ahead of time and then mix and match them and use them in different meals throughout the week. So you can cook up 3 pounds of ground beef, flavor half of it with some taco seasoning and make taco salads, enchiladas with it. You could take the other part of that ground beef and add in some marinara, and then now you can make spaghetti or lasagna from that. This is such a genius way to cut down your cooking time in half. If you've ever forgot to pull out meat from the freezer the night before for dinner, then you're gonna love this next tip. Head to the grocery store and grab a rotisserie chicken. And so you can use this either as a whole chicken or just peel off some and shred it and use it throughout the week. So you can use it to make keto chicken taquitos or just like a quick soup. And don't be afraid to use canned chicken too. It's a great shortcut if you're making chicken crust pizza or like a chicken salad. I also like using canned vegetables like diced tomatoes, mushrooms, green beans as a shortcut either for a side or just some add-ons to dishes. And that way too, I always don't have to make sure that my refrigerator is fully stocked with vegetables because I'm always gonna have some in the pantry. Same with the freezer. It's a great way to have shelf-stable vegetables ready whenever you need them. And a lot of times those frozen vegetables come pre-diced and pre-cut like onions, so it cuts out all that prep time. Shortcuts like using canned and frozen vegetables play a big role in another concept that's going to save you time, and that's to implement semi-homemade cooking. You don't have to make up your own tortillas or noodles. Many grocery stores are now carrying low-carb versions of these, of sauces and noodles and breads, so that we don't have to make these ourselves anymore. And I even found a replacement for cream of mushroom, which is key for a lot of comfort food cooking. When I make dinner, I usually like to make enough so it's gonna serve us over multiple meals, either to have a lunch the next day or to have for dinner as leftovers. Or a lot of times I'll batch cook so that we can have one for dinner tonight and then one for dinner a week from now, because I'm making a freezer meal. Freezer meals are a great way, again, where you just cook one time and you can get multiple meals out of it. This works great for soups and casseroles like my keto taco soup or even my chicken pot pie. And if you don't like having the same thing in multiple days in a row, well then just turn your leftovers into something else. I love repurposing leftovers. You can turn taco meat into a taco casserole or leftover teriyaki chicken into a quick stir fry. Even leftover pot roast can be shredded and turned into a delicious steak marinara to pour over your keto noodles. For help learning how to recreate some of your leftovers or to figure out what freezer meals that you can make to save more time in the kitchen, I share all of my tips and tricks and favorite recipes right here.